Did you silence your phone
I did.
just now?
Yeah,
Just now, remember?
just now.
Okay.
Well, because we were doing things,
Yeah.
and I
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
Respect.
Okay. Are we recording?
On both ends.
I don't. We are recording on both ends.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be looking at our camera
That's
right
what you're
now.
saying. Recording on both ends. Woo!
Yeah, I am. This weather, this coldness. It's so cliche to talk about weather when you start a show.
It is. I can talk about something else.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So I am.
Is this about your oven?
No, I could talk about the oven as well, but it's really not that interesting. I really just, I want to self-promote.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been finishing up season 2 of Balls of Tin.
Woohoo.
And I want to keep mentioning that so that when it comes out, like 2 or 3 people might watch it.
Yeah.
Given that it's been like 2 years between seasons.
Ooh, and then I can interview you.
Yeah, you could, or I could just keep plugging it every week as I.
Do you have something that we can show?
Yeah, actually, I should start giving clips.
Yeah,
and then
that would help.
And then you can make fun of me. And, yeah. No, I'm working on it. I'm not good at self promotion at all. Ask Mike.
You should talk to me.
Okay, I'll try.
I think we did talk about this.
We did.
Okay.
Yeah,
and I just forgot.
Probably, yeah.
Right.
Or I just don't retain anything or something. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we got Peggy here.
Yeah, thank goodness.
You know,
Peggy was absent for
she was
the last one. Do you have a note?
Okay. Oh, no note. So, so just in case our audience is wondering, Peggy is the well, we should call her the head of the Shorties, right?
Yeah, she's the lead shorty.
She's the lead shorty. Yeah. Okay, and that's our in person audience group, and so if you ever want to come and see the podcast live here. It depends on who you are, though, because we just don't want everybody here.
Correct.
Okay. I'm Tonya. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Tonya. Tonya.
Whoa.
I know.
Which do you want to use?
I don't know.
I'm going to start just calling you Tonya
all
the time.
See,
Tonya?
Our guest today knows me from like knee-high to a grasshopper.
Oh, wow.
And so that would be Tonya. But, so yeah, I'm just going to go with that today. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Tonya.
And I am her sidekick, Rochelle.
Sidekick in it. Anyways, I probably have interviewed our guest today 5 or 6 times. It has to be more than that. At least 6. Maybe 6. Wow. He's shaking his head. Yes.
Oh. Wow. I've never interviewed him.
Well, today's your lucky day.
I know. I'm so excited.
Keith Mascoll is a writer, producer, actor, podcaster, activist. He has won some incredibly prestigious awards, including Best Actor at the Las Vegas Film Fest. Well, I can ask that when we start that. NASW Mass Citizen of the Year, and I think that has to do with his work, his social work, his activism. And then Cambridge Community Foundation Innovative Thinker, and this person is an innovative thinker, along with his gorgeous wife, Roxy. But anyways, Keith, welcome to the short of it.
Yes, welcome.
Hey. Thank you so much for having me.
So I said a lot of stuff about you, but there's also so much that I could say, but then I would be talking for the entire podcast. You have really made a mark, or really kind of, major mark in helping hurting people. And I want you to talk about that because you and your beautiful wife, Roxann, do this in such an incredible way. And I just can't imagine how just wonderfully, what's what's the word I'm
Generous.
looking for? Generous. Yeah.
Yeah. Emotionally generous.
Emotionally, yeah, there it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
This is why we're things. So
Yeah.
talk a little bit about, the stuff that you do with the Triggered Life podcast.
Well, thank you so much for asking that question. And, I run a nonprofit. My name is Keith Mascoll. I run a nonprofit called the Triggered Project. Part of that work is we're using art, film, and stage to change how social workers, psychologists, and educators learn about Black boys and trauma. Specifically using a piece that I developed with John Alawale Adekoje called Triggered Life, which started out as a stage show, but then got turned into a motion picture live stage hybrid, which is half stage and half film.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been using that as a learning tool so people can see the humanity in Black and brown men, but then see how the emotional injuries play out. And I've been sharing my story as a survivor of sexual abuse in that, and I'm playing two parts. I'm telling my story, and then I'm telling another story that represents for folks who can't speak and haven't spoken. The next part of that story is talking about how trauma affects relationships. And so me and my partner in crime, Roxann Mascoll, we have a podcast, and it's called Living a Triggered Life. And the reason why it's called Living a Triggered Life is me owning the fact that being a survivor of abuse and some PTSD and, some of that situation, that I'm owning it. I'm owning that I'm activated many times a day, but I've been able to focus on hope and love. And so in the podcast, we're talking about how trauma affects relationships and using ours as an example, but talking about how it affects everything around us, our family, how we interact, and just really, really just been a huge blessing. Partnership with the Museum of Science, where we record once or twice a year an episode. And we're about to embark on season 2.
That's
so
awesome.
season one, 20 episodes on all platforms, and really excited for season 2. I've held it for a little while, probably a little longer than I wanted to, but I went back to school. And so we've been really, I've been really curating the experience of not dropping them all the time. Because there's so much discussion that needs to happen. Plus, there's just, as you all both know, there's so much crap that's out there that it's sometimes hard to be seen. And so we're excited for that work. But, we are helping people tell their story and encouraging people to tell their story as they navigate their wellness journey. And me as a Black male and West Indian boy, I'm trying to push the envelope around the conversation that we have around manhood. There's a lot of surface conversations that are happening. We can see them on Instagram, but it's time for us to have a deeper conversation.
Yeah.
We have to get to the point where it's vulnerability is not just the basics.
Mm.
Like, we're capable of more, and we have to understand that regardless of how we were trained, and I was trained, and all of us are trained, we do have the opportunity to stop and decide, even though it's difficult with right support, but decide who we want to be and how we want to show up. And we often forget that.
Right.
That we have an opportunity, regardless of what my parents told me or what anybody else told me. When I got to my low point, I had a decision to make. And it was either to live my abuser's narrative, or was it to live mine? And also, I wasn't going to live my parents' narrative. And so I had to, and I continue to do this work to make a decision with how I show up and how I define my own manhood, and how I shoot to have meaningful discussions with people, but also with the person that I decide to spend, most of my time with.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's a privilege to be able to use art to push people to think differently. And I think in these times, this is when the artist is some would say most dangerous. But I think this is where we really have the power to move ecosystems.
You know, it's really it's almost like you almost had three strikes against you in a way, right? So you're a man, and you're a Black man, and you're Black West Indian, right?
Yeah.
We don't talk about this. We don't talk about this in our families. We don't talk about it with our friends. And
Right.
you were able to find that way to use your art to help start having these conversations, or at least start letting your story kind of seep through with all the different types of art that you have done. Has there ever been a situation where, or an opportunity to be in a film or to produce a film where you said, nah, that one I just can't do?
I mean, kind of how this started too with John. You know, John brought me to a short called Red Monster that Beyond the Measure was producing, and it had to do with sexual abuse. I was like, "Hey, John, I can play the lead." He was like, "I don't think so." And you know, and I mean, I had someone great for it, which was awesome. But I ended up playing the abuser.
Wow.
And
How did you do that?
well, it wasn't. First of all, I've always been able to kind of divide myself in half, right, and keep myself here, and then my character is here,
Yeah.
and to be able to build up that wall. But the story was not my story. It was somebody else's story that needed to be told, and that's how I looked at it, and I understood the importance of the project, and it was bigger than me. So of course I had the therapist on speed dial and all these things, but it just gave me an opportunity. It was a challenge. I needed to tell that story of the perpetrator because he had a story too. And oftentimes we don't often think about, well, what happened to the perpetrator that they ended up like this.
Yeah.
And there is learning in that, right? And also just understanding that sometimes we miss things, but when it comes to sexual abuse of boys and Black boys, we all miss it. We all completely miss it, and we continue to miss it. And so I felt like there was a responsibility for me to tell this story so people could see the humanity even in him, because he didn't start out that way.
Wow.
Right? How could I create the opportunity to show that he wasn't just like this just because he was like this?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm trying to get people to think more, to think about it. Yeah. It's not for excuses, it's not anything like that, but it's important that even people that are troubled have a story. And we can't forget that. And part of our art, part of film, is to be able to tell that story.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Like that's how I thought about it. Like, you know, I look back at the scene, like the scene is incredible how John shot it, and pretty much puts me in, like slow-mo hero mode, even though I'm not the hero, I'm the villain. And there's this walk that I walk up to say something to the young boy and whisper something in his ear. And it's like, I mean, it might be 6 seconds, 7 seconds, but it is so chilling. But it's what needed to happen for the piece.
Wow. That's incredible. I really like the idea that we need to tell our stories. And I think Tonya is also of the same mind about storytelling being really powerful. How did you come to this point where you decided to tell your story? I mean, it must be incredibly hard to be open and public about that experience as a child. And I'm just wondering, like, sort of how you came to that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it came from my lowest point, to be honest with you. It came from my lowest point. And it was destroying my life not talking about it. And, you know, I was abused by two people, one male and one female. And I talked about the female, but I hadn't talked about the male. And they both were family members. And so it was very complicated. And I just had to make a decision to get help. Number one, to get into therapy. But I wanted to be better for myself. I wanted to be better for my partner. I wanted to make sure that I was living my own narrative. And that meant that I wasn't going to silence myself anymore. And once I played the abuser part, I had already been writing. I'd already been writing some things. And, you know, the person we were working with, you know, they wanted to develop a one-man show. And, you know, so I brought John back in. And then the person we were working with left. And a little before that, John said, well, we had kind of one character and we needed something for balance. And so he asked me for it. And I was ready. I was ready at that point to give him what I had written. And, you know, I wanted to speak for my mother. I wanted to speak for 5 out of my 6 favorite cousins on one side. I wanted to speak for the other men in my family on my dad's side, where I saw the collateral damage, but I don't know where it came from. And so I've been speaking for my ancestors because they couldn't speak for whatever reason. And, you know, you can tie it all the way back to, you know, when folks came ashore in Richmond, Virginia, and what happened to those men. That's part of the lineage.
Yeah, for sure.
And so once starting to open up, you know, because it's bigger than me, can't shut me up.
That's good. That's good.
You know, the way that you use yourself in your work, I've always been one of your biggest fans.
Thank you.
And you took it even a step further, I think, with Triggered Life, but also with your short called Sneaker Therapy. And someone here has a adoration for sneakers, Adidas. I have to say it's Adidas, even though they're not a sponsor. But you know, you can sponsor us, no problem.
Yeah, wear all your stuff.
Tell me where that came ahead, because I mean, I've known you as a sneakerhead since we were in high school. So tell our audience like where that came from.
Yeah, it was, you know, like, I mean, people are always like, what? How do you make this connection? But I mean, in a nutshell, we were writing the show with John. I realized that my sneaker fetish was connected to my trauma. And that when I went to gym one day and didn't have my shoes. And it was when the abuse started. I was feeling like crap. And my gym teacher gave me a pair of Nikes to put on. And I put them on and I felt grounded. And my emotions were regulated. And I felt like a superhero. And I couldn't feel any pain anymore, because I started to stuff my emotions in my shoes. And so I went out and we were playing soccer on that day, and I had an incredible day. And I believed it was the shoes, because I felt grounded when I was in my own shoes, right? Or if I wasn't in the right shoes, I would be that hurt little boy. But when I had the right shoes on, I was something else. And so I kept seeking that feeling of those first pairs, but then it was the art side of shoes, right? That I loved too, but it also gave me a way to express myself that I couldn't if I was feeling hurt. And so I really started getting into sneaker culture, you know, developing a style, and, you know, kept trying to fill that void, right? Kept trying to fill that void of that was inside of me. And in my height, you know, I had 100 by my bed in rotation.
Wow.
Right. And like that was just in rotation. Right. Sneakers were like loose change in my house. Legitimately. And I ended up working at a sports store, and, you know, then it was how can I find them cheap? And that wasn't what was in boxes. But, as someone said to me, that was some of your pain that you kept shoving in those shoes. And so with sneaker therapy, I was like, well, people always talking about how many pairs of shoes people have. That's not the question. For me, the question is, what is it filling? And what was it like? What was going on at that time? But what was it like the first time you put your foot in a shoe? What was that like for you? And what was the first time you bought a pair of shoes with your own money? Right. And so we started interviewing people. It was, kind of gritty during the pandemic and stuff. And I was curious, how many of the people were out there that are just like me who have never had this conversation? And how could I help them? How could I help them heal, help them on their healing journey? Of course, I'm still on mine. But how could I help them on the way and make them think differently about it? And, that's from being around John, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, just think that how I thought about it it's all from being around John Adekoje, and how to visually get people to think, to take a second and don't give it all away, so they can think and fill in themselves in what's happening on screen.
You're also a tremendous spoken word artist. You do it all, Keith. It's kind of annoying. You just do
Stop
everything.
being so good.
I know. It's like, come on, give somebody else a break. But I say that because you have clearly used art to be that infusion, and also kind of your exhale of what it is that you're dealing with. And Rochelle's the reason why I did Do You Remember Me? Because I was in her class and she brought it out in me, and so we've been stuck at the hip ever since. But I remember talking to you about it, and you were just so, you knew what I was capable of before I did. Like, you remember you were telling me things like, oh, you got to go to Miami. You got to go back there. You got to go back to that school. And to me, I was just like, never, but I don't think I trusted the process. And because of people like you and Rochelle, and of course, big shout out to my husband, who's the greatest in the world, I was able to find that. It was messy. I mean, I was snotting and crying every single day on set, but I was there. I was present, and I wonder how, when you work with other artists, how much they get from you. Because I did get so much from you talking about it, just talking about the process. And, do you know if you have that effect on other artists or other actors?
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I think the world of you, and I told you, I said, look, if you want to go back to Miami, I'm going back with you.
Yes,
nice.
Let's go and show both films. Let's have a discussion. Let's get the football team. Let's make sure that that we're making sure that that's a safe space for everyone.
Yeah.
Right. Like that, and that's important work. And I'm in 100%. Anytime you're ready, I'm ready to take on Miami, because it's needed. It is bigger. It is bigger than both of us.
Yeah,
it's bigger than both of us. So I'm ready for that. I'm ready for that. But no, thank you so much just for the love in general. And people always forget that, that I'm an actor.
Right.
People honestly really forget, I actually have an acting career. You know what I mean? Which is really funny to me that people kind of forget. But I try to just be present with people and artists, and listen a lot, but give And, you know, I've been blessed to have people, you know, say the things that you said, you know, around like feeling supported. But not pushing too much, because I want to try to have a boundary. But I don't know, like, and I don't know if it's from John, I'm not sure, but I always just say everything is John. But like, I'm able to see it. Like, I can see it. Like, I can see it. You talk to me about it, and like, I can see it. I visually can see like what it can be, you know. And I tell people what I see, and you know, it's not about being right or wrong, but I think it's, I don't know. I just see the hope in people, and I see the strength in the struggle. And you know, now with technologies, there's nothing in anyone's way to be able to create what they want to create or say what they want to say. And empowering people to do that, I think, is revolutionary. I think it's, you know, it's against the status quo. And it's the biggest one of the biggest protests that you can have, is to empower people to take care of themselves and tell their stories.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I think that's huge. The more people tell their stories, the more people can identify with, empathize with. I just think storytelling is so incredibly important.
Yeah.
And it's freeing.
Yes,
you know,
it is.
I mean,
it is.
You know,
yes,
you and I have both been in projects where, you know, it's so much part of our story that we're sharing, and there's a freeing in that.
Yes, there is
as well, because I've noticed it in you, and I'm just great that I was even, you know, able to put out the muffins. But
oh, come on, I wouldn't even have made that film if it weren't for you.
I always gotta give her credit.
Multi-Emmy award winning. I'm just I'm just like, what? I'm like, girl, you can't forget those things don't go away.
Yeah.
Like, they don't give them to anyone. You know what I mean? Yes. But it's history, though. Yeah. But in the bigger scheme, our stories are history, right? And as we can see, if we don't tell our own story, somebody else will.
Yes.
And has already has already told our story.
Yeah.
Or already started writing it. And so that's why in this climate now, it's so important that we continue to do that, and we encourage all generations to tell their story, because it will stand in truth.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah.
You have great comedic timing as well. I remember just by happenstance going through, I guess it was on Prime or something, Confused by Love.
Oh, so now the truth comes out. You know what? It finally makes sense. And, you know, but if there's not a miracle that's gonna walk through that door, you know what? We're gonna be broke anyway, and then you can be free.
Fergie.
Richie Maxwell.
Yeah.
When'd you turn into LL?
Talking about that 100 pounds back in college?
Yeah.
Long gone, Fergie.
Look, man, don't call me Fergie.
Yeah, I know you don't like me calling you that name. I get it. I'm sure your wife calls you that a lot, right? Mind if I come in?
Sure.
You just do everything. You make me sick. But like, you know, you have this range, I think, that is really inspiring. And like, I'm not an actor. I don't play one on TV, but knowing someone like you, like I know I could write for you because you do it all, you know, and I think that's just such a strength to who you are. And, you know, and a lot of young aspiring filmmakers and producers and writers watch this podcast, and if you don't, you better. You know, what kind of things, what kind of advice, what kind of words of wisdom can you give some of these younger, or I don't want to say younger,
up and coming,
yeah,
people that are trying to live the dream of making art.
Yeah. What would you say?
Yeah. First, I'll say thank you so much for watching Confused by Love. Some people don't know, directed by Crosby Tatum. Not a lot of people. I helped produce that as well.
Yes, you did.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
But thank you so much for saying something about it. Not a lot of people know about it, and we're really proud of that work.
It's good. It's a kind of like, it's a love story, but it's got, bumps in the road, as we all do with our relationships, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but
I'll get to the question. But thank you for saying something about that. It's one thing I'll say about that film. If you noticed, it was mid shots or close.
Yes.
I just want to say that we were able to, because of how things happened, we were able to make one of the only movies, and people have taken it from here on out. Have taken it and have done more movies with only mid and close-ups. Just an incredible experience, and just really proud of that work. But what I would say, to anybody, is find your purpose. Find the purpose of your work, whether it's your superstars in every color, or like your why is important to your work. The one thing that's great about you, Tony, is you know what your why is for each. You know what your bigger why it is, but for each project that you have, there is a purpose, clear through line with that. That frees you up to be able to create.
Yeah.
And use your phone, use whatever you need to do, and just start writing and filming and creating your own work. That is everything. A lot of people, I have friends that are in LA, and they keep saying to me, how are you doing more in LA from Boston than I am here?
Yeah.
How are you doing this? Right? Even Confused by Love, we shot in 6 days for $5,000 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like, how are you able to do this? And I say, it comes back to my purpose and my drive of why I want to do it. And the fact that I will find freedom in the structure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of structure. There's a lot of barriers to make film and to make art. But I have to find the freedom within that. And right now, there is so much freedom to create and produce and put things out more than it's ever been. And there's just no excuse not to do it.
Wow. Every once in a while, we get like mega inspired by guests.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should go create something, like right now.
Right now, right this minute?
Yeah, look, just leave and go.
You're creating right now. So.
We are creating right now. And,
Indeed. Although I have to ask you, why was the choice made to only do mids and close-ups?
Well, it had to do with the type of camera that we had and the limited lenses.
Oh, wow. But you even saying that works, that's a huge. People often don't do things because, I only have one lens, or I don't have this, or I don't have that. Right. But you made a feature, and you made it work instead of saying I can't because I don't have a long lens.
We had a great cameraman, Naveed, and we work with what we had, and we were only in one house. And so we were using different parts of the house. And so even one of the scenes we worked on the couch. And they were like, well, how do you think we should shoot? I'm like, man, we're not sure how to shoot this shot. And I was like, just change the level. What did the actor say? And we moved it to the floor.
Yep.
Yeah. And we moved it to, all we did was bring it down a level. And we set the shot, and we were like, oh my God. Like, yeah, right?
Nice.
So within that struggle, right, we found the freedom.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's how and then, then it became almost, with editing, because Crosby Tatum edited as well. like then we started to create the style.
Mm-hmm.
And then people didn't really notice that much. And then other people were fascinated. They're like, how the heck did you make a whole feature using mid and close-up shot? And that's it. No wides.
Yeah, that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, you need to go watch it.
I'm going to.
Yeah. It's just such a, no heavy lifting. You don't have to get a whole box of tissues or anything. It's
good, because I just watched The Brutalist the other day, and
gosh,
this will help with that. This will definitely help, and we're supposedly in pre-production for the second film.
Nice.
I'm just saying, like,
we won't tell anybody.
No, we won't tell
anybody.
Yeah, we're not going to.
Top secret.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, I'm not sure if the director knows.
Okay.
Pre.
Awesome.
Production for Confused by Love 2.
Awesome.
I love it.
Yeah,
well, if you need some extra, I can be an extra. I can be someone sitting on a bench eating popcorn or something. Hit me up.
Yeah.
But Keith, educator, actor, producer, writer, director, spoken word artist, sneakerhead, and all around just great dude. Thank you so much for being on today and for even giving us more of your story. If you want folks to find you and learn more about your work, set it up now, and we'll put the little thingies on the bottom of the screen.
Sure.
Go for it.
I'm at Keith Mascoll on all platforms. If you want the podcast, you can find me. You can find the podcast easily on all platforms. Living a Triggered Life, and you can watch Confused by Love on Prime.
Nice.
Yep.
And you want more information, you can go to the Triggered Project website, which is Triggered, TRIGGERED1.com.
Love it. All right. Thank you, Keith.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Shout out to your superstar partner, wife extraordinaire. Love her.
Oh,
Roxann.
No, she loves you too. Can I see your shoes? What superstars are you wearing today?
Oh, she doesn't have them on today.
I don't, because when I come to the podcast, I know that no one's going to see my whole body, so I have sweatpants and slides on. Sorry.
I thought it was like Mr. Roger. You know what I mean?
I have some pictures. I have some pictures with her and hers. I'm gonna put them up in this podcast.
Sweet. I thought there was gonna be like a matching yellow pair. Or you're gonna be wearing one pink foot and then the other one's gonna be an orange.
These are mine.
Nice. Those are excellent. I love. Yeah. The other one says bear.
The other one says bear. Yeah, Mama
Just
Bear.
In case you were wondering, it doesn't. Yeah. Mama Bear. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yes. So thank you all so much.
All right, great, man. He's just, he's one of the good guys.
For real. I remember he was in the film that you made for directing class.
Yes, he was.
And I was completely intrigued by him then because of the way his performance.
Right.
He's very engaging. He's the words that he speaks are wonderful.
Yeah, and his partner. We can have them both on at some point to talk about their podcast as well, because it really, they use like real world examples and they talk about their relationship so that it's not coming out of nowhere. They're not pointing the fingers at this is what you need to do, but trauma can. It can keep you down, but I think in Keith's case, it's really kind of soared him in a way that is just really inspiring.
Yeah, I'm inspired, and I want to write something and cast him.
I know, me too. Whoever writes it first.
Dibs.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. That's the short of it.
It is.
The short of it is brought to you by the Den Beauty Lounge. Visit thedenbeautylounge.glossgenius.com for more information and book your appointment today.